There was a palpable sense of anticipation aboard the flight from New York to Florida. Passengers were bustling to find their seats, each lost in their thoughts about the journey ahead. Among them was Officer Jeremy, a dedicated professional, utterly drained after a long day of work. But when Jeremy approached his seat, his exhaustion turned to confusion. It was occupied by another passenger. Jeremy, a man of discipline and order, felt frustration bubbling inside. Before he could act, a flight attendant named Catherine noticed the situation. Her welcoming smile faltered as she approached. "Sorry, sir, but all seats in economy class are reserved," she explained curtly, avoiding further clarification. Jeremy, striving to keep his composure, spoke firmly. "This is my seat, and I can't simply let this slide. It's unacceptable." His calm yet authoritative tone demanded resolution. Catherine, however, remained unyielding. "If you're unhappy with my decision, you're welcome to leave the plane," she replied with a hint of exasperation. Jeremy paused, thinking about the prejudices he had endured throughout his life. He resolved not to let emotions take over. "Perhaps we can find a compromise," he suggested. "Can you upgrade me to another class?" "Every seat is reserved," Catherine said, her tone now laced with finality. She motioned for Jeremy to follow her into the crew area, assuring him they could discuss the issue there. Jeremy, left with no choice, agreed. What happened next stunned him. In private, Catherine dropped her professional demeanor entirely. "Why do you even care about this seat? You're just an officer," she sneered. Jeremy was taken aback. The blatant disrespect struck a nerve, but he held his ground, determined to maintain his dignity. When Catherine demanded he leave the plane, Jeremy's patience wore thin. The passengers observing the commotion started to whisper among themselves. A young woman seated nearby stood up and boldly declared, "This isn't just rude, it's racist." Her words sparked a wave of murmurs and nods of agreement from others. Catherine, overwhelmed by the brewing uproar, tried to suppress the chaos, but it was too late. The tide of passenger discontent had turned against her. By the time the plane landed in Florida, Catherine faced serious repercussions. She was summoned to a disciplinary hearing, where she attempted to justify her actions. However, she wasn't prepared for what came next. Jeremy was not only present but sat as an important witness, and a high-ranking member of the airline's security department. Realizing the gravity of her actions, Catherine confessed. She admitted that her prejudice stemmed from a negative past experience with a black police officer. Her words shocked the room but also revealed an underlying issue: unchecked biases that influenced her professionalism. Despite his anger, Jeremy chose to respond with understanding. He spoke about the need for empathy and professionalism, emphasizing that personal biases should never dictate one's behavior. "Every person deserves respect, regardless of their race or position," he reminded her. Catherine's actions led to her suspension, but the experience left her with a lifelong lesson. Respecting others, no matter their background, is essential, not just as a professional, but as a human being. As Jeremy walked out of the boardroom, he knew that the fight against prejudice was far from over. But he also realized it wasn't his fight alone. It was a responsibility shared by everyone. Dear friends, what did you think about this thought-provoking story? If it inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my tiers for more stories that touch your heart.